up to pay for her soda. I was working in the back of the store, rearranging a few things. I came up.
Numbers of people who have had their lives disrupted, losing their jobs, losing their income, even losing, it certainly is unprecedented. Around the world. Thanks for joining us. I know we're surrounded by uncertainty. It feels like everything is changing. Julian Huxley once wrote that the basic elements in cultural transmission and transformation are psychological. This is how we change. Since time immemorial, high rituals have been performed to transform reality. Numbers of people who have had their lives disrupted, losing their jobs, losing their income, even losing, it certainly is unprecedented in the impact that it's had around the world. Thanks for joining us. I know we're surrounded by uncertainty. It feels like everything is changing. Julian Huxley once wrote that the basic elements in cultural transmission and transformation are psychological. This is how we change. Since time immemorial, high rituals have been performed to transform reality. Ritual, a spiritual psychodrama of conscious, deliberate actions taken to facilitate change. Changes to the whole of the environment people exist in, starting with the mental landscape of the people themselves, the place where our reality is first born a dream. Artist Sharon Devlin once bluntly described the true purpose of ritual as being a method to alter one's mind. It's a sacred drama in which you are the audience as well as the participant, and the purpose of it is to activate parts of the mind that are not activated by everyday activity, she said. The mechanics of change through mechanism, a rhythm to sync to, merge and flow with, a magnetic draw drawing one down the path toward transmutation. Rituals are vehicles driving home those ideas. The information, the data, the symbols, which upon transmission create the language by which new society members communicate after they are initiated. This new language imparts a new understanding through definitions the ritual generates, meaning pegged to signposts of its own self-referential process, even if the original purpose gets lost in the repetition of action. A ritual initiation introduces and inducts one into the way, a new way of life or worldview, a program to guide beliefs and actions, enabling the initiate to become a full and true member of the new society. Note that ritual is not always a conscious action. Not everyone partaking in a ritual is always made explicitly aware that they are participants. And yet still, new patterns of thought, of significance, are drummed in, conscious or not.
Ladies and gentlemen, this commercial is going to use subliminal advertising.
An initiation ritual typically involves 3 stages. See if any of this sounds familiar to you.
Because this is going to be transformative.
First, isolation for purification. The initiate is separated from the mundane. Did you know mundane means of the world?
All has been canceled, social events have been postponed.
The initiate is largely removed from the otherwise familiar persons, places, and things one is used to in order to be cleared of them.
Stay home. Protect yourself and protect our system. Stay home. Everyone must stay at home. We have to stay home because if we don't, stay home, stay safe.
Detached and insulated, purged, purified.
An extraordinary time when we have to stay stay home. We have to stay physically distant from the ones we love. How we can change our day-to-day life to avoid direct face-to-face contact. Try and keep yourself away from people as much as possible.
An essential element of this separation from one's typical environment is the suspension of the normal rules of living that one is used to. The normal way.
Normality, as it was before, will not come back.
Much of the initiate's senses will be commanded and regulated at this time. In other words, the majority of what the initiate sees, hears, smells, touches, and tastes, if directly related, is deliberately controlled. These senses may be bombarded, modified, limited, or deprived. But regardless, perceptions and experiences are ultimately overseen to shine through a newly opened window of
Every generation has a higher purpose.
This video gets interrupted, it's more than likely because at the TV. Enough where the doctor came out and said, 2 months ago, we really didn't have any idea how the virus transmitted, but we told you what you should do to avoid it. You're not going to believe this. I'm sure some of you are watching it. I thought last night was bad. Oh, that's nothing. Wait until you see this. I'm going to let the guy speak, and I'm not going to promise to not scream again, because this is ridiculous. Without any further delay, this is William Bryan, DHS Undersecretary for Science.
And while that's coming up, our most striking observation to date is the powerful effect that solar light appears to have on killing the virus, both surfaces and in the air. We've seen a similar effect with both temperature and humidity as well, where increasing the temperature and humidity, or both, is generally less favorable to the virus. So let me illustrate with this first slide. If you look to the right, you'll see that term half-life with a bunch of timestamps on there. First, let me tell you what a half-life is. We don't measure the virus as far as how long will it live on the surface. We have to measure the decay of the virus in terms of its half-life, because we don't know certain elements. We don't know how much a person expectorates when he spits, right? When he sneezes, whatever the case may be, we don't know how much a virus is in there.
Hey, I stand.
That has a bearing on how long the virus is going to be alive and active. So we measure it in half-life, because half-life doesn't change. So if you look at an 18-hour half-life, what you're basically saying is that every 18 hours, the life of the virus is cut in half. So if you start with 1,000 particles of the virus, in 18 hours you're down to 500. In 18 hours after that, you're down to 250, and so on and so forth. That's important as I explain the rest of the chart. If you look at the first three lines, when you see the word surface, we're talking about non-porous surfaces, door handles, stainless steel. And if you look at as the temperature increases and as the humidity increases with no sun involved, you can see how drastically the half-life goes down on that virus. So the virus is dying at a much more rapid pace just from exposure to higher temperatures and just from exposure to humidity.
Degrees, 20% humidity. Do you know what that describes? That describes virtually every surface you would touch in the grocery store, inside a gas station, inside a hardware store. All of those places that were essential businesses where they said that, you're probably not as much as risk there as you would be someplace where you were breathing the air. The longest half-life, meaning the place where it stayed the longest, was on surfaces that were 70 to 75 degrees with no sunlight. I probably shouldn't. I'm just going to let him speak.
If you look at the fourth line, you inject the sunlight into that, you inject UV rays into that. The same effects on line 2 at 70 to 75 degrees with 80% humidity on the surface, and look at line 4, but now you inject the sun, the half-life goes from 6 hours to 2 minutes. That's how much of an impact the UV rays has on the virus. The last two lines are aerosols. What does it do in the air? We have a very unique capability. I was discussing this with the president prior to coming out. He wanted me to convey it to you on how we do this. I believe we're the only lab in the country that has this capability. But if you can imagine a Home Depot bucket, a 5-gallon Home Depot bucket, we're able to take a particle, and this was developed and designed by our folks at the NBAC. we're able to take a particle of the virus and suspend it in the air inside of this drum and hit it with various temperatures, various humidity levels, multiple different kinds of environmental conditions to include sunlight. And we're able to measure the decay of that virus while it's suspended in the air. This is how we do our aerosol testing. We work with Johns Hopkins Applied Physics Lab, and we actually developed a larger drum to saliva survives best in indoors and dry conditions. The virus does not survive as well in droplets of saliva, and that's important because a lot of testing being done is not necessarily being done, number one, with the COVID-19 virus, and number two, in saliva or respiratory fluids. And thirdly, the virus dies the quickest in the presence of direct sunlight under these conditions. And when you look at that chart, look at the aerosol as you breathe it. You put it in a room, 70 to 75 degrees, 20% humidity, low humidity. It lasts, the half-life is about an hour. But you get outside and it cuts down to a minute and a half. Very significant difference when it gets hit with UV rays. Mr. President, while there are many unknown links.
All right. I'm almost ready to start screaming again because you fucktards out there
Sorry for the
that
language.
ruined spring break for all these kids that are never going to get it back again. I hope you're real fucking proud of yourselves right now.
Sorry for the
Because the
language.
science wasn't in. But because of your own personal, ridiculous insecurities and your desire to demonize the leader of this country. And look, I've not been his biggest fan, but I know when people are playing political games. This was the safest place for the entire country. On the beach, outside, in the UV rays. And what did you do? You actually put them inside where it was literally 30 to 100, maybe 1,000 times more dangerous.
Sorry for the language, and I am looking for this. Okay, yeah. That was sent to me, and hold on, I've got a better one up here. And then this one, I sat praying over my brother. Hold on, I didn't even see that. Hey, last stand. I sat praying over my brother-in-law 2 weeks plus medically induced coma after the collapse. His lungs. Oh yeah, I remember you telling me about that. I'm so sorry. Oh, I'll remember you in prayer. I wanted to come on and show a couple of things. This was some of the stuff that William sent
Facts
me.
and my credentials sandwiched between them. The coronavirus has a very low kill rate, approximately the same as the flu. There was some weak dissent when the first study came out of California suggesting this, as there is with just about every study in the history of science. But with the second out of California, with super high rates in some surveys, and others in Europe and the United States showing the same thing, the story becomes...
If you noticed, though, that it's telling you all of this, that the virus can't survive the temperature, but it's so, bad in California. And most up there, it's really, really hot up in California. And New York's another one, and Florida, which New York, it usually is really cold around this time.
becomes clear. This was here for a while before they realized it. It spread like wildfire, and there simply weren't that many people who managed to avoid this thing. But luckily, just not that many people are actually susceptible. At the lowest antibody test results we have so far, this thing is still killing far less than 1%. Far less than that if you go with the average. And the numbers are suggesting it is indeed where the seasonal flu comes in most years. The facts suggesting that they overcounted coronavirus deaths are better than those suggesting that they've been undercounted. And some of the media moves the last few weeks have been utterly baffling, including no coverage whatsoever of the many quick setup hospitals that the Army is now taking down because they were never used. Now, don't get me wrong. We are quarantined. We have masks and wear them when appropriate. Grandpa is keeping spirits up with witty photos. But no part of the reality of the super low kill rate was lost on the diligent observer. It's been 6 weeks since we first suggested this super high infection rate and super low death susceptibility. And to be frank, there was a bit of disagreement between the facts we were hearing in terms of how they were pieced together. But alas, one could easily believe this thing was being overblown weeks ago if they believed just 2 key facts, which we are now finding out are absolutely true. There is potentially weeks-long latency in this virus. That means for some patients with high public exposure, the R naught could be in the hundreds. And with most people being asymptomatic or thinking they've got a cold or the regular flu, most were never tested. We're spreading it even more, and all the while hiding the real low death numbers of the virus. Now, for those who care for these things, while I have gotten to the point in my life where I can now focus on more explosive and enjoyable fields of science like astrophysics of supernova and the plasma interactions of space weather, I did begin my career discovering the electromagnetic membrane depolarization mechanism of action of a new chemical entity, demonstrating it's similar to the human antimicrobial peptide cathelicidin LL37, which is an antiviral among other things, and is now FDA approved for a few things I'm not interested in discussing at this time. I've dealt with the chemistry, the FDA, and pharma companies. Moving on. Now, when I laid out these facts in March on Facebook as the quarantines were coming in, one post in particular got people very upset, saying I was being insensitive at best and downright recklessly wrong at worst. Well, with the facts now showing the latter simply not to be the matter, and it's the humanity chatter that's up on the platter, because the cure has become the disease, and it's way more deadly than the coronavirus. The bad argument here is that I'm not being sensitive to those vulnerable people. Well, which vulnerable people, and how many of them? Because what has been done is going to kill far more people, and here's why. The top two leading indicators of premature death worldwide, including child and infant mortality, are hunger and general poverty, since the latter comes with the lack of access to health care and education as well. We'll start with the food. As the U.S. food shortage hasn't even hit us in the pipeline yet, we already know we're going to double the hungry people on Earth. That's 130 million extra people that are on the top tier death risk. Right away, you know the cure is a disease. But hunger can also come down the road and poverty as well, and extreme poverty is going to jump by about 50 million people. This will equate to a more general poverty increase of anywhere from hundreds of millions to a billion plus people. The cure has fanned the two most deadly flames of humanity, and at a conservative estimate, 250 million people have had their lives put in jeopardy by the shutdown of the world, because healthy people are quarantined. At those conservative estimates, that's 3.5% of the entire human population. These numbers generally do not adequately represent the slice taken out of developed countries, and there is no doubt. When you lose and take away what your survival is based on, it really doesn't matter if that's a fishing boat or the stock market. The only reason there are 7 billion people alive today is because society allows it. Every day the quarantine continues, hundreds of thousands are sentenced to death. And I'm being insensitive? How about this then? The poorest countries are going to be the hardest hit, some with virtually no coronavirus effect, which makes this global quarantine a selfish assault on those people from that point of view. But that's not my point of view. It's okay to admit that there's no clean option, no nice, neat choice where you get to check all your virtue signaling boxes and feel great about yourself when you look in the mirror. This is reality, and sometimes none of the options look good. Sink or swim. The economy is still going to take a major hit. People are out of jobs, businesses are bankrupt. The psychological toll this has taken will be matched by the reaction to the truth that these antibody tests are going to continue to reveal in what we've actually done to the world. The climate isn't getting any better. Earth's magnetic field is still fading as the sunspot cycle is gearing up for another maximum phase the next 5 years. This thing, those crazy people.
And you are right. Child of the Most High, I really wanted you to put on. I was trying to make you a mod. That's what I was trying to do. I'll have to. If you're not one, I'll go back and do it. Okay. Let's see.
You'd get pretty upset. You'd be worried about your loved one.
These have been
What if
sent
I
to me from
told you
Bill.
the coronavirus is a scam? You'd get pretty upset. You'd be worried about your loved ones and the older people that you know, and because you're worried about them, like I am. But what if I told you that the world banks and a secret cabal is involved in the unraveling of the most pathetic pandemic in world history. Now, I don't think they may be responsible, but responsibility is yet to be placed. But they may have glommed on to an event in the hopes that they could capitalize. So, what if there was some damning evidence that we could provide to the public, that they could share over and over again to prove that the powers that be don't care about you and they've been lying to you? Take a look at this.
What's up, Johnny? All right, man.
Hey, Johnny.
Where do you go, Doug? You can take out the mask, Doug. The case fatality rate says 0.1 to 0.3, of course.
You can take off your mask. The fatality rates are like 0.1 to 0.3. So he's telling him to take off his mask because, you know, you don't need them, right?
You can take out the mask, Doug. The case fatality rate says 0.1 to 0.3, according to USC. Is it really? That's reassuring. USC. Everybody here has been vaccinated anyway.
What?
Everybody here has been vaccinated anyway.
Everyone has
You've
been
been holding out on
vaccinated.
us, Bill Gates. There's a vaccine, and they've all had it in Washington, D.C.
I don't have
But
it.
then comes this.
USC and LA County Public Health came out with a study. They found that there are 7,000 cases in California, but they really believe that there are anywhere from 221,000 to 442,000 people who were infected. Really?
So it says there's 7,000 cases, but there's really maybe 400,000 cases, which means the death rate is, you know, well, listen to
Wrong
this other
alert.
guy.
So that makes it 0.1, 2, 0.3.
I know, right, child of most high.
0.1. And
There's
I
a
guess they're going
study?
to release a study.
Just give it to that.
I must not watch the Oppenheimer Ranch Project. There's a study?
Thank you for hanging out with me.
I must not watch
child
the
of most-
Oppenheimer Ranch
So there's a
Project.
study.
So it suggests the case fatality.
Thank you for hanging out with me, child of most high. Yeah, Bill sent me these videos, and I just now got to watch them. Yeah, nanobots exactly.
Idiots! Let me scratch my head.
Push your right one with the foot.
Oh my God. Let me step over the coronavirus.
So it's a hoax.
It's a hoax!
So it's a hoax, the guy says.
So it's a hoax. So it's a hoax. So it's a hoax.
Yeah, I know. He's
Now,
funny.
guys, I mean, can you believe what you just saw? I can't. This is a video recorded just a few days ago on Sunday,
Yeah.
which is our fun day.
Uh,
And it makes you want.
I've had somebody visiting me, so I haven't had time to really put this stuff out. So I'm glad that I am. Oh, you're welcome. I haven't had time to really get all this stuff out. I wish I did. Because this was Bill sent me this, I don't know how long ago. But yeah, I didn't know this was what it was. This is funny.
Want to not believe in any of this. But more importantly, what is the purpose of all this? Why have we been shut down? What's going on with the markets? Oil fell below zero for the first time in history to reveal that the markets are manipulated. As the markets fall, precious metals fall with them. The exact opposite of what should happen. If Ben Franklin was alive today, he would be embarrassed at what he's seeing. Not a single American understands the ruse that is afoot. But I do. And many of my listeners also understand.
A lot of people are waking up now. They just don't know what to wake up to.
What are you doing to change the narrative?
They know they're being
Most
deceived.
of you are doing nothing. Protesting in the streets is ineffective. No one gives this, in my opinion. I've tried that for decades.
They just want you to protest anyways.
If this continues, we need to fight back. You've been given the data. Everyone in the White House, well, they've been vaccinated.
Yeah, exactly.
According to the appropriator.
Of course, they get it first. Yeah, they're waking up.
Old people die every day. It's how we die.
People are starting to wake up and realize that there's something up with why they're shutting us down, the whole nation, and that they're not telling us the truth on a lot of things. So a lot of people are waking up to this. Like when they were protesting, there were so many different groups everywhere doing it, and they're saying no vaccine. They just want us to shut down, and so people are waking up. This is like one of God's great awakenings right now, and I'm so happy for it. There's another video he sent me here in just a second. I want to play it too. He usually sends me some pretty good stuff.
Die. Period.
Okay, so he sent me another one. Let's go down and see what this one is. The actual numbers are embarrassing. Like I said, he sends me some pretty good ones. I usually don't, use other people's stuff, but with this one, what Bill sends me, it's good, and I don't want to just, tell you what I think about it. It's better to
The
hear
COVID-19 outbreak.
It's better for you to
Defending
hear
against the psychology of fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Well, how about we start with facts, not fear?
Okay, first off, I will point this out. He also has one of the stars for the summonings, and he's also got in the background here the staff with a serpent wrapped around it, which is the whole yoga thing. They believe there is a serpent wrapped around your spinal cord, and that is part of the ideology, another religion. It's part of a different god and goddess worship system. So every time you see this, guys, that's what that is. It's the staff with the snake around it, and it is on so many of our symbols. But yes, we should not have fear whatsoever. Everyone needs to take the fear away, and he tells us, do not fear nothing but the wrath of God. Fear no one but himself, God himself, guys.
We'll go from there. The Senate approves measure to replenish halted coronavirus small business loan program. This is after many large chain, quote unquote, small businesses stole the money in the very first hours of the program. Now, some chain stores like Shake Shack have given back upwards of $100 million in their theft. But thankfully, the Senate has approved measures to replenish the halted small business loan program, which is going to help thousands of small businesses. Now, on Tuesday, the Senate approved a measure that would revive a program geared to keep small businesses from shuttering and their employees from going on unemployment because of the economic impacts of coronavirus pandemic. And so we'll sit and wait to see how this unfolds and how quick that money is depleted. Now, one of the big stories is that more U.S. labs could be providing coronavirus tests.
They're all ineffective
and if you go
and
read
already
this
have
article, what you're going to find out is that there is upwards of 1,400 labs. Peace. And no coordinating efforts to use these facilities to actually do any coronavirus testing, antibody testing, or any types of any testing. So those are the facts there. And whoever dropped the ball on this, it's been months now that we've needed these tests. There is still no organization of these independent companies, many of which, like several in Colorado, are offering their own testing. You just pay $70, $80, go get a test. That simple.
So you have to pay to be tested.
And at the same time, Georgia Governor Brian Kemp is facing resistance over moves to reopen the economy. Many of the mayors of the cities in Georgia are scared. They said, "Governor, don't do it. We're going to kill millions of people." The only problem is they told us 3 months ago that there'd be millions of dead people, and there aren't. We're going to get to the numbers. But let's get to some of the fun. De Blasio's social distancing tip, which recommended that citizens of New York City snitch on their neighbors, well, that backfired. It backfired in a big way. While the distancing tip line was flooded with penis pics, Hitler memes,
Sorry,
which is
guys.
some of the funniest stuff I've ever seen, to be quite honest. An excellent site developed.
That's the thing, right? Gets you so scared that you'll go pay $80 to be tested if you have this. And if you have gotten the flu vaccine, you was injected with the bird cells that have the coronavirus. So you'll have it. And most of the tests have done came back and said that they already were infected with the coronavirus. So everyone would be testing positive for the vaccinations.
By the inventors of Instagram, I'm sharing to you now, rt.live. Or this is the R0 of the COVID-19, where you can see up-to-date values for the R0, a key measure of how fast the virus is growing. It's the average of number of people who become infected by a single infectious person. You can see Nebraska is losing. Connecticut in second, North Dakota, then Ohio, Iowa, and Kentucky. If you live in any of these states, I feel sorry for you. The rest of the country's okay. Take a look at these numbers, most of which peak March 22nd, which is a month ago, as the R0 is falling in every state in our union, quite dramatically. Most of them are in the green. These will be the states that reopen first. So come check out the data in your state and get informed. Don't get scared. Get the facts.
Exactly.
Facts on RT COVID-19. That's at rt.live. Now, the CDC director warns the second wave of coronavirus is likely to be worse. And the World Health Organization's Tedros, he says it's only just the beginning. But the latest CDC COVID-19 numbers make the doom and gloom cult look like complete idiots. And they continue to add more idiocy into their dogma. Now, the CDC recently released coronavirus numbers from February 1st to April 18th. Now, I know these are a little old, a couple days, but with each day, it's getting harder and harder for these so-called experts to defend their complete destruction of the American economy and the economy of the whole world,
though.
by the way. Since February, there have been 17,229 COVID-19 confirmed deaths. An additional 7,667 have been confirmed to have died from COVID-19 plus pneumonia, which brings the total number for this time period of COVID-19 suspected cases to just under 25,000.
The suspected cases are people that come in, like I've told y'all several times, if you go to any type of medical institution or an ER or the hospital, doctor, anything, they say that they are to always treat you as COVID positive, not, test you and then go based on the test like they do for pneumonia and the flu and stuff. So the suspected is that. Put them forward to die. I'm sorry, guys. Sometimes y'all can see my screen, so you see how fast it goes by. Yeah, see, that's another thing. Like, we've seen several videos, and I've showed it on here too, of them going into the nursing homes and dragging people out, not telling family members they're gone, and then saying, oh, well, they have symptoms. So they're taking people with symptoms and killing them and saying that it's for the COVID and that they were positive. But yeah, it's suspected cases because they have no idea. Yeah, I mean, I won't go to the hospital either. I don't care if I even have a cough, which I do have a little bit of a cough, but I'm not, doing that. So, as y'all know, my friends here, I ended up putting that on private, so I apologize for all of that yesterday, guys, but please keep me in prayer. There's a lot that's been going on, but let's finish this. I just like to share this information with y'all. it's better for me to let y'all hear somebody else talk about it sometimes than for me just to come out and say it, because if you hear other people talking about it, people will understand it better. It's not just one source. It's not just from me. You're hearing it from everyone. Exactly. Like, I'm not going to go to the hospital if I think I have it anyways. And I'm not going to go try to come up with $80 to go pay to get tested for it. That's ridiculous.
1,000. Now, during the same exact time period in the U.S., 49,013 people died from pneumonia.
And my
None of them
father
had
died
coronavirus.
in January of pneumonia and the flu.
The entire country is shut down. Less than half the people died in the same time frame that pneumonia took out twice as many people. And then there's the age gap. There were 20 deaths under the age of 25. That's it. That comes out to 0.01% of all coronavirus deaths.
Because they want the
There were
older people gone.
13,518 deaths over 65, which means if you're over 65, you are at risk, but not as at risk as the flu or pneumonia. And let me tell you why. Here's the official numbers. From February 1st to April 21st.
I wish he could blow that up.
And here are pneumonia deaths in this column. Let me blow this up. This is completely mind-blowing. Yeah, how big we can get this. Okay. Here are the CDC numbers. COVID-19 deaths from February 1st to April 21st in the U.S., 17,229. Pneumonia deaths, 49,000. Pick any age bracket. 45 to 54, there has been 943 deaths in the U.S. from COVID-19. 2,000.
Okay, I just want to point out something really quick before he finishes this. He is calling it co-void, and I never even seen it that way. This guy is brilliant. It is void. So he's calling it co-void instead of COVID. So I'm going to just start doing that, because co-void, yeah, it's void.
1,000 deaths from pneumonia alone. Let's go up to 65 to 74. Since the COVID-19 pandemic, 3,829 deaths, 65 to 74.
Exactly.
Over 10,000 deaths from pneumonia alone. Pneumonia is 3 times more deadly than COVID-19 for people 65 to 74. If you're
yeah, my dad was 61. He had severe pneumonia and severe flu. That was what they put on the death certificate. He died January 17th. And when he went in, he was in for a long time. But the last time that he was there, they literally did not give him antibiotics, did not try to treat him, did not do anything. I got to talk to him a couple of days, and then they decided they were going to put him to sleep and keep him comfortable and let him just go. They didn't do anything for him, and they said that his organs had already started to shut down, and there was nothing else they could do. So they were going to, let him sleep and not be in pain, and that's how he went. So very suspicious around his death. There are a lot of things I've thought about that as well. So yeah, and then they said that there were reports of it back in November as well. But there's so much coming out about this, we don't know what's true and what's false. We do know they don't want the older people that are the weakest links, and then they know the truthers are weak, because we won't. Well, they call us terrorists. They think we're fighting against so much. We're trying our best. Our channels will end up getting, took down. A lot of people can't even get to my channel. And then, of course, they've started taking out the homeless, like I told everybody. I ran into a couple other people that were homeless, and he had been in New Orleans and other places, and he says they're not just taking them. He says they're just killing them. He said, I've seen them kill plenty. Oh, thank you, child of the Most High. Yeah, I haven't really dealt with it yet. My father, there's so much. I've lost so many people in the last month or two, since January. It's getting bad, and there's someone I know right now whose organs are shutting down, and she's very close to us, and it's just, there's so much going on. But I'll let this guy finish, and then we'll talk in just a moment. But I do agree with you, and they're trying to take out everything. If it's, you should notice that people under 25 basically were good. And we know they have the crisis actors that are on, the news acting like they're in the hospital with it.
75 to 84, there was 4,780 COVID-19 deaths since February 1st. 13,612 due to pneumonia alone. You picking it up? I just put it down. 85 plus, 4,909 COVID-19 deaths, 16,113 from pneumonia alone in the U.S. in the same time period. So for people 85 and older, pneumonia is 4 times more deadly than COVID-19. And we haven't included any other comorbidity here. Diabetes, heart disease, cancer. Those are all higher than pneumonia. All higher. Are you picking it up? You could blend this COVID-19 death toll here, 02117 up to 4,900, 3 months, into any single category you want. If I put cancer up here, your mind would explode. If I put alcoholism, it would blow up as well. I just put up pneumonia, and the CDC is revealing this before your very eyes. That COVID-19 is less than a quarter deadly than pneumonia. But we have never shut down the country for pneumonia, now have we?
Nope.
That's the data. And I'll leave you links to the fake John Hopkins site that's been built to scare the out of you. Coronavirus's ability to mutate has also been vastly underestimated. And mutations affect the deadliness of the strains. And the reality is that the majority of the strains, over 30, are completely harmless, asymptomatic, and not a threat to anyone. But there are deadly strains, and those are the ones that are in Italy and New York City. The most aggressive strains of SARS-CoV-2 could generate 270 times as much viral load as the least potent type. And that's the one we have to worry about. New York may have a deadlier strain imported from Italy, compared to less deadly viruses elsewhere in the U.S. imported from communist China.
Yeah, it's imported, and it's a different strand, so the
Coronavirus has
world
mutated to become far
strands.
deadlier in Europe than the milder strain that made its way to the U.S. West Coast, a Chinese study claims. So I went and found the study. Now, China's initial coronavirus outbreak in Wuhan spread twice as fast as we thought, according to the study.
This guy's really done a lot of
And
research.
it has mutated into at least 30 different strains. Now, the study was carried out by Professor Li Langjuan and colleagues from the Zhejiang University of Hangzhou, China, and published in a non-peer-reviewed paper released on medresearch.org. And this was released on Sunday. Patient-derived mutations impact pathogenicity. Wow. The pathogenicity of SARS-CoV-2 is what determines if it's killer or not. And if we have 28 strains of completely harmless CoV-2 moving around, that could actually be causing herd immunity to the more deadly strain.
You're welcome. I came over there because I seen you were
Guess it's
live.
too early to tell.
Well, I seen that.
But what we can tell from the
you were
numbers I just
live
showed you from the CDC
on John Boy's live, so I came over
that,
to see you.
Well,
I didn't get to stay long though.
Standard pneumonia is 4 times more deadly than COVID-19 in almost all the age brackets. So that's how that goes. I'll leave you links to all these papers as usual. And far more people may have been infected by the coronavirus in one California county. Now, the study coming out from Santa Clara, far more people may have been infected with COVID-19 than have been confirmed by health officials. And what they find is an antibody multiplier of 50 to 85. The study estimates that 2.49% to 4% of the people in Santa Clara County have been infected by COVID-19 by April 1st, which represents up to 81,000 people. And the official confirmed number is much lower than that, around 5,000.
And they want to do the tracing and the tracking
big
on
issue.
this.
And that's how we get the 5% death rate.
Which isn't
That's
nothing.
why we're all sheltering in place, because of very, very bad numbers. And we have plenty of food, so why are the grocery stores so empty?
Exactly.
Well, I have good news. That since the major panic buying has ended in the ensuing 6 weeks, our grocery store has fully stocked most of the shelves. Not completely, they're not filled with stuff, but all of the empty areas have been stocked with something. So there are now canned beans and canned vegetables. I was able to buy toilet paper and paper towels, of all things, yesterday. Those have been unseen for 6 weeks in my area, and yet they're coming back on the shelves. Slowly, but
It
surely.
makes you think they
And
didn't
not
even
in
have
large
them
quantities, but continuously. So all you people that hoarded food and other stuff that you don't need, you could start eating it. You could start preparing meals and let the supply get back on the shelves. And don't be scared. Be prepared beforehand so you don't end up with extra toilet paper. Don't panic. Panicking does nothing.
No,
It
it
raises
does
your blood
not.
pressure. It reduces your immune system.
If anything, don't panic,
You need to
rejoice.
breathe.
These are
Center.
signs we are coming to
Stretch.
the
Do
end of
yoga.
everything.
Shinrin-yoku. Go out.
He just said do
Forest gaze.
yoga, and he had
Eat
that
healthy.
on his thing.
Do not panic. Get sleep.
That's funny.
And think smart. Listen to all of the information that you're given. Look at the data. Check all the links below this video. Most YouTubers do not have any links like I do. Every single thing I talk about is linked to a source. Check it out in the description box. Don't be scared, be prepared. And don't be stupid. And most importantly, be safe.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we love you. Proper prior planning prevents piss poor performance. And I'll also leave you links to 15 impressive herbs with antiviral activity, and you can read for yourself that many of these cure the symptoms and the viral activity of COVID-19.
Yeah, everybody says vitamin C
It's that
and
simple,
zinc
and there
too,
is
as
a
well.
natural remedy for everything. Keep calm and wash your hands. And as we end tonight, a little levity, which I think you'll appreciate. And you can even share with your friends and family who are all acting, well, in my opinion, just a little too buck wild.
COVID-19. Well, how do I win?
You just gotta stay inside your house.
That's so easy.
It's not.
How do I get the virus out? I gotta...
Okay, X is cough.
Cough.
Y is to sneeze.
Barf.
Oh, it's barf, I'm sorry. B is sneeze.
Really?
A is to shit.
Shit.
And then hit both
Cough.
triggers to do your
Barf.
super. That's how you blast out the
Diarrhea.
virus. There you go.
Okay, I think I get it.
Okay, don't get that, Kyle. Don't
I just
do
want to
not
see
get the
who
door.
it is.
Oh my god.
Hey man, there's a rad new festival called Hipchella. Here are 2 free tickets. There's gonna be tons of hot, horny girls there. LOL.
That sounds pretty cool.
No, dude, that's a big bowl of bat soup. Don't go to that. Kyle,
I'm just gonna
Oh my
like
God,
check it out.
dude.
I'll social
It's
distance.
pretty
Did they
simple.
really make this a video game,
Alright.
guys?
Just back out. You just gotta back out.
Redhead. I'm just gonna talk to this girl real quick.
Hi, my name's Jenny fucking Cum.
Nice.
Dude, she's sick.
That might be allergies. Oh, she wants to make out. Yes. Yes.
No. Oh my god, you suck at this.
Okay, that's enough of that. I wonder if that is actually real, guys. What do you think? That's funny. That's really, really funny. So we watched all of these. I think the only one I didn't really watch. I'm gonna play this one again because it's funny. So let's watch it.
Rashida Tlaib, all in favor?
Yeah. We need to do.
Good. Rashida Tlaib is now pledged to Delta Chow Kai. Next slide, please, Nancy. Just a minute. Just settle down. This is Acacia Cortez. She's a communist from my home in New York.
Okay. This girl is a real zero. That's true. Just think back to when you guys were freshmen, huh? Chef, you had a face like a pepperoni pizza, right? And Maxine here. Everybody thought that she was brain damaged. I myself am so obnoxious, the senators used to beat me up once a week. So this girl is a total loser? Well, let me tell you about when I grew up in Kenya.
I state your name.
I state your name.
Do hereby pledge allegiance to the frat.
Do hereby pledge allegiance to the frat.
With liberty and fraternity for all.
Amen.
That video is funny. I like it. By the way, he sent me a really good one. I do want to play this one more time about this guy finding out all of this. That way I have it for documentation on my channel so people can
If I told you the coronavirus is a scam?
Let's go a little further.
But what if I told you
I just want to play
that
the
the
video part
of the most pathetic care about you? And they've been lying to you.
Here we
Take
go.
a look at this.
What's up, Johnny? All right, man.
Hey, Johnny.
Where you go, baby? You can take out the mask, Doug. The case fatality rate says 0.1 to 0.3, of course.
You can take off your mask. The fatality rates are like 0.1 to 0.3. So he's telling him to take off his mask because, you know, you don't need them, right?
You can take out the mask, Doug. The case fatality rate says 0.1 to 0.3, according to USC.
Is it really? That's reassuring.
USC.
Everybody here has been vaccinated anyway.
What?
Everybody here has been vaccinated anyway.
Everyone has
You've
been
been holding out on us,
vaccinated.
Bill Gates. There's a vaccine, and they've all had it in Washington, D.C.
I don't have
But
it.
then comes this.
USC and LA County Public Health came out with a study. They found that there are 7,000 cases in California, but they really believe that there are anywhere from 221,000 to 442,000 people who were infected.
Really?
So it says there's 7,000 cases, but there's really maybe 400,000 cases, which means the death rate is, you know, well, listen to this other guy.
So that makes it 0.1 to 0.3. Does a study to give out with or?
0.1. And
There's
I
a
guess they're going to
study?
release a study.
I must not watch the Oppenheimer Ranch Project. There's a study? I must not watch the Oppenheimer Ranch
So
Project.
there's a study.
Idiots! Let me scratch my head. Oh my God. Let me step over the coronavirus.
So it's a hoax.
It's a hoax!
So it's a hoax, the guy says.
So it's a hoax. So it's a hoax. So it's a hoax.
Now, guys, I mean,
Yeah,
can you
Ozzy
believe what you just saw?
Yeah. Ozzy Biden, the bat hits off. Yeah, he spread the corona, right?
I can't.
COVID.
This is a video recorded just a few days ago on Sunday, which is our fun day. And it makes you want to not believe in any of this. But more importantly, what is the purpose of all this? Why have we been shut down?
Okay, guys, I just wanted y'all to hear that again. But thank y'all for coming. And I'm going to do some more research and then I'll be able to give y'all some more info. I just haven't been able to do much today. I haven't been feeling really well, but I will try to upload a video tomorrow if it allows me the space and the storage, okay? So, we get fine, jailed, and beat up. Yeah, I know. I know there's so much going on, and they're completely being retarded about every bit of this. And now that that video leaked, I mean, there's going to be so many people waking up to every bit of this that it's going to be huge. And that I'm happy for, so. But God bless all of you. Have a great night. And I guess have a good weekend if you can. Stay healthy and everything, of course. But the people out in the public are completely overreacting and using fear, and that's just not what we need to do. If you notice the dollar bill up here at the very top, it says 6166. So, I mean, the $100 bill, it's 6166. This guy's got 6166 on it. And then you have the, of course, the scales over to the right and the key on here. But it's weird that that number is up there. So, just everybody, all you too, and thank you. And God bless all of you for your prayers and everything. I also wanted to say that David Ballard on here, he said to let everyone know that his mother-in-law got a lot better. She got the ventilator and everything, so all of us praying for her helped so much, and I really appreciate all of you praying for her. And he said that he wanted to say thank you to all of you. So, prayers do work, they always do help, and they get answered, just sometimes not in the right time when we need them to. But stop looking down and start looking up, and I will see y'all probably tomorrow. Stay blessed, guys.